So, you're a front nine blower-upper, ruining your rounds before it even starts.
You're not alone. Many golfers lose strokes in the first few holes.
I'm Carlos Benavides, mental game coach out of Austin, Texas. Today, we're breaking down why the front nine feels different, what mental traps golfers fall into, and how to stop that early round spiral.
I'm an occupational therapist and Carlos's coaching partner and wife, and we do see this a lot. It's not just your swing, it is how your brain, your nervous system, and how pressure affects things, aka stress, and we will uncover that today.
By the end, you'll have 4 simple, actionable tips to keep your head in the game and score better from the first hole, preserve your round, and keep you playing good golf. Welcome back, Golf Psychos, to the Golf Psycho podcast, where you're either psycho for golf or golf drives you psycho. Welcome back. It's so good to have you all. And Laurie is joining me again today, my lovely wife. Just got her haircut today. She's looking fantastic.
Thank you.
I love it. Yeah, we love it. And so jumping right in today, guys. So you are a front nine blower upper. I understand your pain. There's just a lot of golfers that struggle with that exact same issue. It is a very common issue. I actually think that the majority of golfers that usually come to see us are front nine strugglers and tend to get going on the back nine. Laurie, would you agree?
I would agree, and I would also like to share that this was Carlos's issue as well. So we are personally very involved in this, or we have a lot of personal stories with this.
Yeah, I think I was notoriously like, if I'm not going to play good, I'm just not going to play good, and that's it. I'm not going to see, at least for me, like I think I would see a return in the back nine, and I think as a kid, I usually saw, a big back nine, a big contrasting back nine. So it's not that I didn't do it. I did see those rounds, and whenever they did happen, they were huge. They would be like 44 on the front nine and like a 36 on the back type deal. And I think a lot of golfers can relate to scores that sound like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, we're going to be going over 4 different steps that you, by the end of this podcast, are going to be able to apply to your game. You should be able to apply them. You should apply them to your game, should I say. And they're going to keep your rounds from just blowing up, especially during tournament play. So let's just jump right into what we're going to talk about today to make sure that your round stays nice and smooth. So one of the first reasons that I wanted to go over today as to why front nine golfers or strugglers struggle with the front nine is expectations at the beginning of the round. This is something that not a lot of coaches or not a lot of folks are aware of, but sometimes some golfers, myself included, you're defeated before you even step out onto the golf course because sometimes we have unrealistic or just expectations of how our round is going to go. We are very attached to the idea that this round must go well. I expect it to go well. And what golfers don't realize about expectations is that expectations is essentially another form of anxiety because its thinking is based in the future. And what can happen, and not necessarily in that moment, because I think there can be a huge difference between mental rehearsal and expectations, where mental rehearsals, we're imagining the way our round is going to go in a non-attached plan. Expectations are typically very emotionally attached to outcomes, something that doesn't serve us in golf.
Right. And I think some examples that I've personally seen some mental game students that we worked with, it might be, I played really well yesterday. I'm going to play so well today. Or today is the day that we're breaking 90 or 80, or today's the day that I'm breaking 70. Or, I had a really good range session. I'm going to do really well, but there's also this layer of that added pressure, aka stress, that is happening, and like you said, that is that nervous system that is going amok a little bit, and we need to rein it back in and relax.
Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you.
We didn't get the multiple
I
ones. We
tried
usually
not
get
to.
like 4 of them.
We'll put this out.
But yeah, Laurie's absolutely right. That those expectations and that thought process going into it, especially, I've been guilty of that one too. Like, but I played so well yesterday, and it can be downright devastating for the next day to see you around and your golf game in a place that was nowhere near where it was the day prior. And yeah, those expectations really, really set us up for this idea of the way things are going to go. And, I can honestly say there's probably been a lot of times where golfers go in with expectations, but they just happen to have a good round, right? So we didn't see the carnage of the expectations, right? But whenever there are expectations, and whenever they collide with a reality that doesn't match those expectations, they can exaggerate our emotions on the course, further sending us into fight or flight. And if you haven't figured out that we are very, very huge on golfers being able to perform at their absolute best based on nervous system regulation. And what I mean about that is we need you to play not in fight or flight. We're huge, huge components. And a lot of what we do here at Golf Psycho in our coaching is we work on techniques that keep us from fight or flight. And one thing that expectations most certainly do is set off fight or flight very, very easily when our expectations do not match reality. So how do we fix that? We have to go into our rounds very unattached to outcomes. We have to go into rounds very unattached to the shots. We have to go into our golf through the eyes of the designer, the artist that you are. And if we have these ideas of the way things are going to go and they're not going well, and as soon as a negative emotion comes into play, that emotion is going to be the new author of our golf. So we have to be very, very aware of the emotions that we're feeling. We have to be very aware of how attached we are. And it's very easy to say like, okay, well, I'm not going to be attached to this golf anymore. I'm okay. Much easier said than done. But catching your emotional little rises throughout the round and coming back to regulate yourself with your breath as we prescribe, breathing in for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, just kind of processing and making sure that we don't lose ourselves too much to the emotions that are going to set off our fight or flight.
Agreed. So regulating your nervous system with the breath is incredibly powerful, very simple, but we forget, so it needs to be a practice. So as Carlos said, after every shot, good, bad, in between, inhaling for 4 seconds and exhaling for 4 seconds after every shot is going to help you regulate and stay cool, calm, and collected along, like what you said, is identifying that emotion. So that social emotional learning component is also very, very important of being able to identify and notice, or rather notice and then identify, vice versa. What am I feeling in that moment? Oh, like I felt a little tense. Oh, I am feeling a little anxious. I am mad. Oh, I'm disappointed. Let's regulate.
Name it to tame it.
Name it to tame it. And that way we can regulate and let it go. So I work with pediatrics. That's my background. And that's exactly what we do. We need to be able to identify our emotions. And then what is that strategy that we need to be able to kind of center or calm ourselves down? Breathing is going to be our best solution on the course. Now, of course, we can find other ways, but generally for everyone, that breath is going to be really important. So it's also going to be important that you are practicing that outside of the course when you are not stressed. Because if you're not practicing that, then it's going to be really hard to implement it when we are stressed.
Yeah. So your breath is going to be your get out of jail free card. Whenever you've lost yourself to some negative emotions or some negative thoughts. But it's going to be a little bit of a dual answer here, right? Laurie's got us taken care of with the breath, what we're supposed to do. And, we have to update our mindset. We have to kind of be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, am I really, really attached to that? What does non-attached golf mean to me? How can I play non-attached golf? So playing your scrambles, playing with your boys, playing with your friends, playing with your girls, getting out and playing as much loose, sort of it doesn't count golf is a really good way to sort of bring that to the course and make sure that our expectations are not taking over and are not impacting our emotions, which then impact our nervous system, which then impacts our golf, right? So it's a domino effect. So if it does impact our golf, like Laurie said, we have our breath there to get us out, regulate your nervous system again, get out of fight or flight, stop that adrenaline from hitting your system, and get back to being cool, calm, and relaxed. So that's going to be number one tip to get you playing well on the front nine. Expectations, goodbye. Tip number two, a lot of us as golfers, we warm up on the range, we take care of our bodies, we get that rep ready and prepped for play, but we rarely prep our mind for play. So what you should be doing to prevent front nine blowups prior to going out in your round, if you can get a 5 to 10 minute meditation, that is going to help you keep cool on the course. It's going to keep the meditation practice fresh in your mind so that you can go out and use it on the course. This is very similar to warming up your driver on the range, warming up your putter, and making sure that it feels like it's fine-tuned, right? So a lot of the times if we go out onto the golf course and we didn't get a warm-up, we didn't test the greens, we kind of feel, oh, I didn't get that little tune-up that I need to kind of get the feels before coming out here. It's the same thing with your mental game, right? So if we're going to take care of the things that we need to take care of in tip one, make sure that our breathing is good and make sure that we're catching emotions, well, then our focus is going to need to be pretty good for the day. And we need to wake it up before we get out to the course. So before you do anything, before you take on this 4-hour, 4.5, 5-hour round where you're going to apply all of this brain power, we can wake it up before we get out to the round. And I recommend that we go through a 5-minute meditation, whether you do it guided with a video on YouTube of your choice, or just being able to sit down on your own for 5 to 10 minutes and start working a 4-4 breath. And that would be, again, inhale for 4 seconds and exhale for 5 seconds. And if we can do that and keep just our sole focus on that, again, during that time, you're probably going to lose your focus. It might drift off to what you're going to do in a little while, or you're around.
When is this over?
Or when is this over, right? Or what am I? At some point of you just watching your breath, you're going to lose your focus. Just come back and just come back. This is what we need to be really, really sharp on the course in order to, again, keep us out of expectations, to keep us out of nervous thoughts, to keep us out of, or I wouldn't say nervous because we're going to feel nervous, but anxious thoughts that are not going to serve your game per se. So that's a really, really, really big one that a lot of golfers do not do before we go out to play golf.
Inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4 seconds is excellent. To strengthen that, my suggestion would be if you're waiting in line, that's a really good time to inhale for 4, exhale for 4 to get that practice as well. Maybe you're in between shots. That's a really good time. No one can tell that you're doing it. So it's not like this obvious thing, right? And sometimes you may end up doing that when you're having the best rounds of your life. You're actually breathing really well. You're having a good time. Every single person that I've ever spoken to, their best rounds have always been when they're having the most fun because they're the most relaxed. Their nervous system is not on fight or flight.
The nervous system's not going off.
They are naturally having a regulated nervous system. This is just now helping us to maintain that relaxed nervous system
And I'm
state.
sure by now that, as golfers, you've noticed, right? When my emotions go up, my golf goes down every single time. What is that? It's your nervous system. It makes you do funny things. We don't need added adrenaline in our bodies when we're going, standing over field shots and chips and putts and when we need to be precise, right? All of that extra adrenaline, it just doesn't serve. I can't tell you how many times I've seen adrenaline dumps happen to guys on tour, and they're hitting their approach shots 15 yards, 10 shots over 10 yards over the green, because there's this little extra adrenaline in their system, and you're going to swing a little bit harder. You're going to swing harder than you normally do because of that extra power that you've got in your blood. So, this is a really, really great way to make sure that, we were doing something prior to our round to set our round up, right? So we've cleaned up expectations, and now we've got a meditation practice that's happening before our round to sort of just start prepping my brain for what it's going to do later in the day. I don't want, when I get to the golf course, that's the first time I turn on my brain in that sense, right? So it sounds silly, right? Why would I do it right when I get there, right? So do not sleep on this update. This is a big one. Meditating before your round. Big, big, big one.
It's a big win, and you'll notice it on the course and off the course as well.
Absolutely. All right, moving on with tip 3. So a big part of what we're doing today, right? These are like, they're updates, right? I like to think of it as like when you update your phone, right? We're fixing bugs, we're updating things. This is a huge, huge update. And this one could not be more of an update. This is a big, big update. So a lot of our golf is decided on the belief systems that we have, right? So always say that your brain is like a computer, and we have all these programs installed, and our brain is at the mercy of those programs, right? It can only do what those programs language say, and we're limited to those belief systems, right? We can't fulfill anything outside of them. And there's a lot of golfers out there that believe that one bad shot ruins rounds, or that a few bad holes that don't go too well has ruined the round. And from there, that can exaggerate emotions, the disappointment that golfers feel when they think, I've ruined this round. And I've been guilty of this one myself. I can start off hole 1, double bogey, and there might be this voice in the back of my head sometimes that's just like, really? We're already ruining this round. It's already like, that's it. This is how we're starting, you know? And then the next hole, a bogey, and then the next hole, a bogey, and I haven't quite gotten out of this thing, and then another double. And then by the time I know it, I've shot 44, 45 or higher than what I normally shoot, because I have this belief system in there that I do not question that says that bad holes or bad shots mean that the round can be over. I can't emphasize enough how many times I've golfed with folks or friends that all have that belief system. I feel like that's a really big universal belief system that many golfers have.
I agree. And that's the brain's negativity bias of one negative thing happens and I'm going to focus on that. And then most of us have a mental habit of being good at leaning to the negativity, because that's just our brains. It's everybody. It's not special or unique to just you of being so negative. It's everyone's brain. We have to be able to notice it, and then also notice the other truth of what is going well. But
and we cover a few of these things in episodes. Well, we don't cover a few. This kind of specifically, the brain's negativity bias, we cover heavily in episodes 1, 2, and 3. So make sure after this video, you check out episodes 1, 2, and 3, because they really, really go into detail over what we've got to be careful with as far as our negative bias brain.
But yeah, to go back to that negative bias brain, that one shot goes wrong. Oh, I know where this leads, is what the golfer is saying to themselves. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of negativity. The nervous system now, like we mentioned earlier, is stressed, all this pressure. Things go a little funny, and it's going to continue. And then it becomes now a truth of the belief system. Like, well, every time it does happen, it does, because I've been making this truth through actions.
And I can't emphasize this enough. When we create golf, again, this is a game of life, right? As you're creating your reality, the emotions that you're feeling are creating your reality, right? So if we take a game of life like golf, as you create your golf and as you create your shots, if that negative emotion or that negative thinking is leading the way, then you're just simply creating the emotion that's driving all of this, right? Just like in life, right? When you lead from gratitude, doors open up for you. You find opportunities that you wouldn't normally find if you were negative. You're grateful for what you do have rather than looking at what you don't. And that's why you multiply what you do have, right? So if we want to multiply good shots, we have to be very careful with this belief system of thinking that, hey, a bad shot ruins a round, or adding that as a factor that's going to inevitably pull you down or pull you to the negative side. Because then, like Laurie says, we're just creating from that negative sense. So if you think about, creating a recipe, like if the intention was, I want to play bad golf, well, then you're just succeeding at creating the recipe. You're not failing at golf. You're actually doing a really good job of just doing what it is you're creating based on the emotion that you're emitting.
Mm-hmm. And I like what you said right now about how we're creating that, because then physically, this round is over. Mm-hmm. It's going to manifest. Your body's going to be like, okay, it's over. Mm-hmm. Your body doesn't understand the no's or that we don't want that. This is what you are telling yourself. There's a lot of science behind affirmations and what that is like. So that's why it's also very important with our social emotional intelligence and noticing practices that we're able to catch, oh my gosh, my brain just said X, Y, and Z, that this round is over. Even though when you're calm, you could probably take a step back and be like, I'm barely on hole 1, 2, or 3, and I have so many left over, or even front 9, and I still have the back 9 left, where, maybe that shot didn't go well, but that doesn't mean that the whole round is over. Mm-hmm. When we have some distance for it and we're relaxed, of course, when we're in it, it's very difficult if that's the practice that you already have to get out of it.
We as golfers can be a little dramatic. We can be pretty dramatic, especially if,
it's one shot.
But I understand that, right? I totally get it. I've been there. I've done that. I've done the whole, one bad shot, okay, I'll be all right, but I'm not all right. And then
breathing is not happening during that time.
Yeah, I'm set off. And, that's a huge part, being able to sort of digest your emotions as you're playing and making sure they don't build up on you, especially disappointment, because disappointment can kind of pile and pile and pile and pile. And by the time you know it, that's when you just lose it, right? So again, making sure that we're okay with having rounds where holes don't go well, because at least for me in my game, and maybe there's all golfers that can sort of relate to this, right? So we sort of believe that, well, if I have a double bogey, it's terrible because maybe perhaps we have this belief system that says, I don't quite believe I'm going to be able to get the birdies to get that back. Once I lose them, that's it, so question that. Be honest with yourself. Do I have a belief system that says that a bad hole ruins a round? And if you do, we need to question that belief system and we need to change it to, hey, bad holes and bad shots are completely allowed. Ask the best golfers in the world. That's just a reality. That's a truth. And we as amateurs need to be able to adopt that as well. Bad shots happen. In bad rounds. I need you to believe that wholeheartedly. And bad shots happen in bad rounds. Bad shots happen in good rounds. I'm sorry.
And that's actually a very high level way of thinking things, right? Whether it's on the course of, maybe not all of the best outcomes will happen, but we can always find a solution, right? So pro level golfers know this, where maybe as an amateur, we haven't really gotten to that point because we don't have that pro level mindset yet, but we can. And that's what we're here to do today.
And maybe we can't score like a pro, but we can certainly do our version of what feels good out there on the course, or our version of scoring, whether it's like, hey, I can go on a par streak here. I can most definitely go on a par streak here. That's okay. I can move on. But the rest of your round, if you want to play well, we have to contemplate these beliefs. We have to sort of be willing to rewrite these systems, catch it. And I guarantee you, the moment you do, you're going to start noticing rounds where a bad hole happens and then good golf actually has a chance to continue, right? So coming back to our breath, regulating, making sure that those belief systems don't start pulling us down, right? So huge one there. Check that belief system.
It's catch them. One.
All right, so tip 4, and we've already kind of been dancing around this one the entire time, but we felt like it deserved a spot here because it is just so crucial to playing good golf. And as we mentioned earlier, nervous system regulation before you get to the course is absolutely vital to playing well on the front 9. So we won't jump too far because we're going to be doing another video for all those golfers that blow up on the back 9, right?
It's going to be good.
But, a little, sneak peek into that. But it's huge. I cannot emphasize this enough. A lot of golfers have, 5-10 shots that they can pull off of their game just so long as they were good or somewhat practiced at regulating your nervous system. That's the last thing you need to go off. That's why the funny stuff happens on the course for most golfers. The mental game is a lot of things, right? It's belief system. It's the way we practice and how our beliefs spill into everything that we do. But this in particular is something that most golfers, if you were to just adopt this overnight, will completely change the way you play on the course. When I first started regulating on the course, one of the things that I noticed was that my rounds would go up and down. So I'd blow up and then I'd regulate and I'd come back and I'd play again, and then something bad would happen and then I'd regulate. And I was up on this, sort of roller coaster of a round, whereas before it was just bad and that was it, right? So it was really interesting to sort of see myself in my cards as we were graphing these things. Like, I'm having calm down moments and then something else goes wrong and then I'm calming down, and it was interesting, right? So again, that's the number, probably over everything that we're talking about today caters to regulation, nervous system regulation.
Yes. And the quickest, fastest way is going to be through your breath. So use those four breaths, inhaling for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4. In your car before you leave, we're doing that breathing. You take your shot, you load your who, take your shot, inhaling for 4, exhaling for 4 for your post-shot routine, and move on. Whether it's a good shot, whether it's a bad shot, whether it was just it's okay shot.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They all get the same reset.
The same reset.
Yeah.
The same reset. And that's why we have them installed everywhere. Again, I suggest that you go back to watch episodes 1, 2, and 3. If you're not familiar with loading of the who, or this is the first video that you're seeing or the first podcast that you're listening along with us, I highly, highly recommend go, like I mentioned earlier, go back to episodes 1, 2, and 3. We install breathing and a technique in our pre-shot routine that caters to taking care of the nervous system. Our post-shot routine that we discuss in episodes 1, 2, and 3 also cater to the nervous system. Everything that we do and everything that we practice at Golf Psycho with our students is to take care of those things on the course so that our golfers can go out and not have any fight or flight issues. If you're going to play bad golf, I want it to be because we just hit bad shots, not because we were spiraling emotionally, not because our mental game wasn't tight, not because our breathing wasn't great out there. If we can sort of build the skills that we need to keep ourselves calm, and I have to say this, that fight or flight doesn't always feel like, oh my gosh, I am just full on raging. It can sort of kick on through agitation, through disappointment, getting annoyed, especially once you're, that's enough to kind of get an indication that, hey, I may have set off my fight or flight. And that's, again, when golfers start playing their worst golf. There's going to be golfers out there that are freaks of nature that can play with fight or flight completely activated. But they're outliers. Those are the weirdos that can actually do that. I think that 9 out of 10 human beings, it just doesn't help us. It does not help us. So regulating, and like Laurie said, using the breath. And why the breath? If this is the first time you're hearing us speak, the breath and your nervous system are connected, right? So if I were to be walking, I'm here from Austin, right? I'm going down to 6th Street. Someone comes up to me, wants to hit me, and I know that it's going down. I'm immediately going to take that deep breath, or something's going to happen to jolt me. Every time you felt that adrenaline hit your system when you get scared, you probably gasped or breathed in kind of quickly. And that's what tells your nervous system, oh, there is a threat, right? So when our breath is affected and our nervous system is on, it's often very short and shallow. So we're breathing and we're on the course, and the breath is here, and you're standing over a drive and you can barely kind of hold on to your breath. We've all been there. That is a really good indication. So as Laurie said, using our 4-4 is what's going to keep us grounded in our game.
Absolutely. And to add what Carlos said, exactly, like the breath is going to help calm your nervous system. It's going to regulate and slow down your heart rate. It's going to give your brain that reset and body that we need. So as Carlos said earlier as well, the fight, flight, or freeze, right? We're either having that rapid, shallow breathing, or we're holding it.
Or just holding it.
Right. So that can look different for different people. Obviously, if we want to fight, or we're upset, or we're mad, or we're angry.
Which is why our 4-4 breath is the complete opposite of holding your breath or the short and shallow. These are long, deep, controlled breaths to tell your nervous system, oh,
everything's okay.
There's no threat. We're can turn off fight or flight now.
It's not a lion chasing me. It's just a ball that went OB. No big deal.
I just missed a 3-footer and I'm losing it. I am completely safe though. But to your really nervous system,
in that moment,
something's wrong.
If the fight or flight goes off and our nervous system is not regulated, that 3-footer, that OB shot, it's going to feel the same way of some sort of threat.
Yeah.
So fight, flight, obviously, I'm done with this game, and you leave.
And
right?
again,
or you're freezing. You're like, I'm just not going to move.
Yeah, not going to move. You just freeze up. Even on the course, I think we can all have that. I lost it. I froze up, or I just couldn't get back into the game. And it's your breath was and your nervous system was completely unregulated the whole time. You got more and more upset, more and more disappointed. So having good mental game is being able to get ourselves out of those things, going down like, hey, I've been down this path. I know where this leads. Let me get back to my breath. Let me regulate myself. Because what often happens when our nervous system is going crazy, we replay the bad golf and we sit there and we beat ourselves up about it. And we play it in the mental movie of our mind. And it just makes things worse, right? So being able to recognize that, which is why earlier we mentioned, one of our tips, meditation, so that we can catch ourselves having these moments. And luckily we meditated that morning. We were able to notice, whenever our mind is drifted, because one of the things that we need to get out of our mind is that bad golf. And when you're focused on your 4-8 breathing, guess what you're not thinking about? Bad golf. That's why it's so important. If you take any of the tips that you took today, take this one. It's the ability to regulate your breath on the course, to regulate your nervous system, and keep you from going down spirals and thoughts that just don't serve. I don't need you worried about hole 9 while you're on hole 4. I don't need you worried about the par 3 that's coming. I need you here, present, and having fun. And it's very hard to have fun when your nervous system is doing all this and you're in fight or flight. So becoming a master of your breath and becoming a master of 4-4 or 4-8, where you breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 8 seconds so that the exhale is considerably longer than your inhale. You can use that off of the course as well. So these are incredibly important to, obviously the breath is very, very important to keeping us playing good golf.
Absolutely. Because once we're able to regulate, then we can notice other places, maybe physically, right? Are we holding some tension? Are we grinding our teeth? Are our shoulders coming up to our ears?
Yeah.
Am I gripping that golf club way
Super
too tight?
Yeah, because you end up losing, when your fight or flight's on, you end up losing sense of grip. You end up losing sense of where your body is in space. And exactly like Laurie said, I couldn't have said it better myself. The worst thing that probably happens throughout the whole thing from all of that adrenaline and tension is you end up putting that tension into your grip, which is the life of your whole swing. That's your heart. And if that's tight and just nervous and agitated and anxious, that's no good for your golf. So a lot of golfers are a lot better than they realize, but if they can tame their nervous systems, and ultimately that is a huge part of having good mental game. Mental game golfers, or golfers with strong mental game, like the guys that are at the top, they are not concerned with bad shots the way we are concerned with bad shots. They know they're good. They have nothing to prove. They know that these shots are going to happen. They're inevitable. Bad shots will happen, but controlling their misses is where it's at. So they can be very unbothered. And yes, we've all seen our tour pros, losing their minds on the course, but we don't see it too often, and whenever we do see them losing it, we typically keep seeing the problem happen until they're able to sort of get their wits back together, right? So as amateurs, we definitely have no room to be losing it. So If you want to start playing better golf, if you want to start seeing your potential, if you're one of those golfers that feels like, oh my gosh, every time I go out there, I leave 5 shots, I leave 10 shots, or I should be so much lower, really consider the tips that we talked about today. Watch this video again. Make sure that they're really, really going in there and actually, showing up in your game and in the way that you practice and the way that you play. And like I said, some of these are actual beliefs about what we believe about the game of golf and what we believe about bad shots. So updating these things, keep them fresh in your mind. And these are going to absolutely change the way you play for the better. I feel like the results happen pretty quick once we're able to apply these things to the course, because they're new behaviors. They're new behaviors. So just learning to breathe, just, building a meditation practice before you get out to the course, changing the way you think about bad shots, regulating your nervous system. These are all new concepts, so if you need help with them, you can always reach out to us at thegolfpsycho.com to book a lesson with us. But for now, work on these at home and really, really adopt them in the best way that you can, and your golf is going to thank you.
Absolutely. We covered a lot today, from expectations. Obviously, the big one throughout the whole theme was nervous system regulation, meditation, the negativity bias. We've got a lot to give. The other thing is, what if we give them like a little challenge, and maybe we could hear about it?
Sure. So, golfers, here's a challenge for you. Next round, make your goal for holes 1 to 3 nothing about the score, just tempo, breath specifically, and rhythm. The birdies will come later.
Excellent. And if you do blow up or we do get upset, good noticing. No big deal. Remember, the round is not lost. Reframe it as back 9 practice. No big deal. That mindset shift will definitely keep you going and make you stronger.
Yeah, because you may have a habit, right? You have a habit of just, hey, the round isn't going my way. This is how we typically respond. So creating a little bit of a difference in this, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. If we can't go out and get it right away, that's okay. Be okay with chipping away at it. Be okay with chipping away at it. Like I said, keep these tips in your mind. Keep updating them, revisit them, save this video, come back to it often to make sure that these 4 tips are being applied. But yeah, go out there, have some fun for the first few holes, really pay attention to your breath a little bit more. Whatever happens, be okay with it. And that's a really good step to sort of breaking that cycle of losing things and that front 9, sort of downward spiral that can happen, especially in tournaments.
Absolutely. Keep practicing that. And remember, golf isn't about being perfect. It's just managing your mind as much as you do your swing. It's just as important. But if this helped you, please like and subscribe. Share this. If you had a big takeaway, we'd love to hear about it. And share this with somebody that maybe needs help.
Yeah, everyone knows a golfer that needs mental game help, right? So send this to a friend. But yeah, be sure to comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. Let's start a dialogue in the comments, and we'd love to hear from you. We're extremely grateful for everyone that has subscribed this far. If you've been hanging and watching this far with us, we're incredibly grateful. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. And again, in the comments, let us know if there's something that you want us to cover, if there's a part of your game that you have questions over, leave it in the comments. We can create a whole video about it. We want to hear from you guys. And we want the Golf Psycho community to be nice and tight and get to know each other. So again, very, very grateful for Laurie for joining me again today. Haircut looking fantastic. I love it.
Thanks.
And just thank you so much for tuning into the Golf Psycho. We'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
Peace.